commemorate the Shloshim of our beloved Shmuel, Rabbi, a beloved teacher, and to me personally, a dear friend. I am not a colleague. You're going to hear from some of his colleagues. I am not his mate. I'm not a mate of his. Way back from Aussie. I'm not even his age. I am here, for a lack of another word, I got to know Shmuel over the years. I'll tell you, like I said, it was not my age. He was not even my type. I must tell you, I have one serious regret, just to show you how much of not my type he was. Only after he passed away did I discover. I can't believe this. I sat with him for over 20 years and just never made it on that. I never had this opportunity to have a little chayim with him. So, chayim. We're going to hear, as usual, by these events, it's going to be in Yonim of Teile. We're going to make a seal. We're going to meet Philo. We're going to say Tillim together, Kaddish, and we will hear from friends, colleagues, and family about a very special and dear person. Oh, and I shouldn't forget, also from students. I can't talk to you as someone who had my children as students of his, because it just never happened. None of my children were in this class. But my children did adopt him as an uncle. I mean, but seriously, they became very close. And then when their children needed achnosu l'cheder, their favorite place was by Rabbi Benjamin. And when I saw the videos, I understood why. The way he welcomed every child, and you can almost say to learning olive bays, starting the olive bays, licking the honey of the holy letters. It was such a ritual. It was needs my attention. I need to give my time to my son, and I have to find him a minyan where I can daven with him. That to me was a very powerful message. He was much younger than me. I mean, I've outgrown that part of life, but I saw it's not just a job. It's not just a hobby, but it's a passion of life, and he knew where to direct his efforts. This is the Shmuel that I got to know. We're going to start off by we're going to start off with saying Kapitlach Tillim by two of his students, Shmuel Zalman Mochkin and Shmuel Glick. both students in pre-1A. Now they're in 4th grade. They're going to lead us in Tehillim. We're going to say Kapitlach for the safety of our brothers and sisters in the Eretz Yisrael. We'll say Kapitel Chof. Obviously, we'll say the Rebbe's Kapitel. We will also say Shmuel's Kapitel, to thank the Eibishter for all the good. So first, the Tehillim will be led by his Alman Mochkin, and then Shmuel will follow, leading us in the 12 Psukim, one of Shmuel's passions, leading children and saying the 12 Psukim for Aschus for his Neshama. So first, Shneir Zalman Mochkin.
We will begin with my Benjamin Kapitel. Lamateach al Tasvez Elohim. Leishar Tishbedu Bnei Adam. Af Belev Elef Tiv the Aretz Hamas Yevechem Tiv Hamas Berachem Tov. Betem Doivri Chasov, Hamas Loving Kidus Hamas Nachosh, Kiboy Fesem Cheresh Date Osmay, Eishaloi Ishbalkar, Milach Hashim, Chayver Chavar Mechukam, Elim Hayam Shneimai, Efimai Neltais Kefir Mitzayis, Adonai. Marcos, Kimai Mayan, Yishalcho Lama Yidrach, Yitzav Kimai Yismalolu, Kimai Shabu, Temet Yaloy, Karen River Nisa Yisefan, Batot Kimai Chai, Kimai Chai, Mishari Rumi, Yismak Tzadik, Yichaz Anokam, the Amavir Chatada Harasha, Bademer Adam Afri, Atadik Ach, Yesh Elohim, Shev Brothers. Now we will say Kapitel Chav, Kohes, and Kofman. One will say Achmez David. Yam Chadinoi Le'an Torah, Yitzhak Hashem Ela Yaakov, Yishlach Ezechami Yikadosh. Umisi Anis Alecha, Yitlakom and Chayzacha, Ve'elas Chaydash Nesama, Yidemacha Kyovolecha. Salusha on Yerushalayim. Yishbayir Ayabayich, Yishalai Bechelich, Shalva Be'amar Nasayich, Roman Chai Be'ayayit, Adabarna Shalai Bach, Lamar Bezat Ne'alena, Abat Tebach. Hallelujah, Hallelujah Bekachai, Hallelujah Bekiyah Hallelujah B'Muraisav, Hallelujah B'Laya, Hallelujah, Seika Shaifa, Hallelujah, Nibor Chinar, Hallelujah, Sefer Machel, Hallelujah, Minute Baruch, Hallelujah, Betir, Hallelujah, Sefer Machel, Tzos Shama, Hallelujah, Tzos Yisroel, Kalan Shama, Hallelujah. Tara, Ziva, Manu, Maisha, Marasha, Kalilas, Yaakov, Shema, Israel, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai, Echad, Michal, Dar, Badar, Chayav, Adam, Liras, Es, Atma, Eilu, Hud, Yatza, Mitzrayim, Kol, Yisrael, Yesh, Lahan, Chelek, Laila, Chava, Shnamar, Yamich, Kula, Tzadikim, Le'olam, Yershu, Aretz, Netzer, Matai, Maseh, Yadai, Yisbar, Ki, Karev, Elacha, Hadavar, Moed, Leficha, Uvacha, Alav, Malai, Chol, Haaretz, Vaidai, Mavet, Holav, Vachem, Kais, Valei, Im, Abdai, Karo, Gracious, Bara, Alayim, Es, Shmaim, Es, Haaretz, Vishnata, Melecha, Gabarta, Rav, Vishiftacha, Vivisecha, Naftacha, Aderach, Vishaftacha, Kumecha, Yagati, Galai, Tasi, Al, Tamin, Vayagati, Umatasi, Al, Tamin, Yagati, Matasi, Tamin, Yafta, Yorecha, Maicha, Rabbi, Akiva, Omer, Zeh, Cloud, Gada, Atara, Zeh, Kol, Adam, Zachas, Beriasa, Urias, Kol, Elamais, Elyonim, Saktanim, Elias, Lai, Dira, Zul, Saktanim, Yismach, Yisrael, Yasa, Perush, Shachal, Mi, Shehu, Zera, Yisrael, Yesh, Lai, Smayach, Simchas, Hashem, Asher, Sas, Sameach, Edirasa, Saktanim, Yechi Adenim Merin Rabbeinu Macham Shiach Levad. Yechi Adenim Merin Rabbeinu Macham Shiach Levad. Yechi Adenim Merin Rabbeinu Macham Shiach Levad.
The two boys who, although they were students in pre-1A, they kept in touch. I don't know how many of us can say that we were still continuing to be in touch with our pre-1A teachers. Rabbi Benjamin was that type. So from 4th grade students, or a little closer to pre-1A, we now go to another student, a student from pre-1A, who's Baruch Hashem married, and we wish him a mazel tov on his recent marriage. Rabbi Mendel Velenkin was a student who kept in touch. He also grew up as a neighbor with Rabbi Benjamin. They kept in touch through the years. And the last few years, they became chavrusas. During Rabbi Benjamin's illness, Mendel would come and learn with Rabbi Benjamin, who I have to point out, as a Talmud in various yeshivas. He was a Talmud Chochem. He liked to learn. And when you go into the house, you see Gemaras were used. And he continued his learning. He was a Talmud, I believe, of Rav Steinberg, the famous Rav Steinberg of the Tzitzis. Steinberg, I'm sorry. And he admired him. Many times he would mention, he would talk about him, he would speak about him. He was in awe. He respected Torah, and Emtzelangior Mendel chose to become his Chavrusa, and we'd like to call Mendel to to make a siyum Hashas and Mishnayos, for the Mishnayos that was learned Leilu Nishmas, and he's going to finish the last Masechta in Shas, Masechta Nida, followed by the Kaddish.
One thing that the legend always used to ask me, Mike, better? Mike, better? 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 So the first thing that the legend always used to ask me, if you could have learned inside in later times. So he used to ask me, Mendel, what's talk something? So I'm sure that now you also want to have a short word. Better? So a short word on the parasha that's I think associated with the Rabbi that it says in the parasha by Yigash Elav Yehuda that Yehuda approached Yosef. And the Mefarshim say, what did you approach Yosef for? He was ready to fight for Binyamin, to make sure Binyamin comes back safely. So the Rebbe asks that, if you look at the Midrashim, Yosef and Yehuda had this competition to show off their might. And Yehuda and his brother stand on the floor, the whole Messiah started shaking. And then you had Yosef and his children started stamping, sort of equal might. To the extent that Yehuda said that Yosef is stronger. So when he's going to come now and fight for Binyamin, what's he doing over here? He's admitted that Yosef is much stronger than him. So what's he now going to start fighting a losing battle? So the Rabbi answers that the pasuk continues that Yehuda says he guaranteed Binyamin's safe arrival, and therefore he has the achrayus, and he's going to go out to the extent of Mesiras Nefesh. Might be a losing battle, but it's his achrayus, his responsibility, and therefore he's going to take whatever it takes, even if he seemingly may lose, to make sure Binyamin comes back. So the Rebbe says, what do we learn from this? That there's different people that have achrayus for children, for example, parents, and they have to learn from Yehuda that they have to have Mesiras Nefesh even for one child, just like Binyamin was one kid, to make sure that they have the Rabbi gives an example what they have Mesiras Nefesh for, to make sure they have a chinuch hataras hakodesh, which we know Rabbi Benjamin that was his kach, chinuch, the Talmidim. So so a few maises that about Rabbi Benjamin that we can learn from him about Chayitin Aliboy, that it's not some day that we hear Mises or whatever, but it's Mises we can learn from him. So throughout the different times that I was able to learn with him, so a lot of times during the Maimer, different things, he would mention different stories that you try making it also more, taking the ideas from the Mar, from the Sifis, how he could apply it, what he could teach the Talmidim, what your Shemaim he could teach them. So I took out a few general points that what I can learn from Rabbi Benjamin, and I would put it into like three categories. One category is things that I learned from him himself, and get his iskashos, and get his netachim, his yidur shamayim, his iskashos to Rebbe. Then would be also the way he tried being mashpia on other people, the second category. And then the third category is his feeling for other people, his Ahavas Yisrael. So when he get his iskashos and his chizuk and netachim and his yidur shamayim, so he mentioned to me once that the first time that he saw the Rebbe was Tafshin Mem Ches, Erev Rosh Hashanah going to Tafshin Mem Tes. The Rebbe was in the elevator, or next to the elevator, and the Rebbe was asking one of the Maskidim that it seems that there's supposed to be, Tafshin Mem Ches was a year of Hakel, and it seems that there's supposed to be some kind of Hakel event in Al-Taira. And the Rebbe was asking one of the Maskidim what's going on with it. And it wasn't happening, so the Rebbe wasn't excited. And then the Rebbe went up. But that was his first glance, the first time he saw the Rebbe. And so when he told me the story, he said that later when he was in LA and different things, the first traceback that he could see as his shlichus from the Rebbe that's associated with LA was this flashback that the first time he saw the Rebbe was mentioning LA. So that's what he saw as the shlichus, his chinuch, talmidim. That's one thing. And Taka we saw throughout the year that was his entire koch. The later years, he was always trying, whenever he had the koyach, even when it was tough, he always made sure, if it's possible, he's going to yeshiva. So, that's one thing. Another thing about his own his kashos and everything is what he got his chizuk from. Now we used to learn my modern, they used to tell me some Shabbosim that he heard that there's a very good mimer from the Friedrich Rebbe, from the Rebbe about Messianis. So we used to learn it. And he used to harvend his Mamorim. And he used to comment during the Mamorim that this point is like really to the point. Exactly what he has to hear. And he used to mamish be koching in the Mamorim, and he pashat wasn't skazik. He pashat got chizuk and koyach from the Mamorim. And he was, I'm saying, it took koyach a lot of times, it was very joining, but not always on Shabbos, sometimes throughout the week. He was pashat all b'chayis, he used to tell me different texts, different things, different other sikhs or the Qaddataydas, whatever he had that were connected with their mimer. So we sometimes had back and forth knowing different things. Pasha had a big, give him a lot of koyach. So it wasn't sound, he was learning my Morim and no, he took the chizuk. Another story that he used to tell me a few times, that it looks like when he said the story, as we'll hear, it wasn't Stam saying a story. They used to say that Shmuel David Reichek a lot of times used to fall asleep in like his chair or couch, and he used to like wake up, and Rebbe. So like this is going back in Mustafa like a year and a half ago. He used to tell me the story like a few Shabbos, and more than once he told me. It looks like when he was chazering the Smaisa, he was also getting chayas from this. Pasha gave him koyach, that as we saw later on, he was never miyush. He always had koyach. Another thing is that later I used to get updates how his massive is. If it's good, he went to the doctor, like he used to go, I don't know how often, but if it was good, if it was not so good. So one time it was mamish not good. And like towards the end, like the first very not good update. And when I came the next time, or Bechal speaking with him, not always the Yav but you couldn't tell a flinch that he was down, he was depressed, nothing. He had a koyach, like he was still the same positive, the same storming, the same everything as before. Yosef told me that any time, like mamish by the later weeks, that anybody was saying like things that Lam Tafka would bring simcha, he would say shh. He just wanted to have like a starke betachin, a very strong betachin, only toiv, and that's taka, how he, as you saw, how he lived. One very interesting point on this, finishing this, his own betachin, he one time, like, told me, like, he already has his whole Seder Hayom figured out when he's going to get better. He knows which mikveh he's going to go to, which shir he's going to be joining, which minyan, which route he's going to walk up to Al-Qaeda. Already figured out, he already had it in the mind, he's getting better as well. He already has it figured out, and that's how strong his betachin was. So that's the first category of things that he had. But again, his own iskashos, not stam to learn more, not stam to Rebbe, but it actually meant something to him that we can learn from, and also how strong his betachin was. The second category, how he dealt with other people. In his later months, so he used to write the Rebbe B'chlal, and just get letters from Igris. So one time, I think this was Tishrei time, he told me that he wrote to the Rebbe, and the answer he got was that the Rebbe is telling him he's a mashpia. Wherever he is, he's a mashpia. So he told me what he took from this letter was that the Rebbe was telling him that sometimes he's going to be in class with the Talmidim, and he was very, very emotional when he was saying it. And sometimes he's not going to be able to be with his Talmidim. But wherever he is, he's a mashpia. So that, during Tishrei, he went to the hospital a few times. And where did he say? He was like repeating, like with all excited that how was he able to do his shlichus? Was that he found a few yidden to do sheikh lulav. Other times it was tefillin. But he basically lived this thing that the Rebbe is a shliach, the Rebbe is telling us being a shliach, and he lived through it with das bechlal with Yiddishkeit, mitzvahs. But then, anybody that was in Rabbi Benjamin's class or bechlal, as I mentioned earlier, he had a tremendous cut by Yiddish Shemayim. So, a lot of time at Shabbosim, he used to tell me how the principal asked him to speak for one of the Chassid Shiyam Tevim, in the Pagras, or Bechlal, how he's going to, when he was able to go to speak in the different classes, his classroom, other classrooms, that he always used to have one thing he used to tell me: how could he give the Talmidim Yiddish Shemayim? What could he tell them that's going to have them, enable them to have more Yiddish Shemayim? Me personally, one of the memories that I have from 3-1A is that he pashat, like what is the Mitzvah Yiddish Shemayim? One of the inyanim that he used to be a Shulchan Aruch, to follow the says the Shulchan Aruch, to act like a Yid. So Rabbi Benjamin in 3-1A was basically teaching us how you get dressed. You first put on yarmulke, then you tzitzis, and you get dressed, you first put on the right side, and then when you get undressed, you first left side. But like partially going through everything, put on your right shoe, you tie your left shoe first, the whole seder of how to get dressed, the very basic things, how you do that. Then also another time, he used to tell me more than once that he doesn't understand, like partially not like ranting at anybody, but it didn't make sense in his head how when people are chazer a maimer and people will just be speaking or just be eating, a little bit of cheretz for it's not the person saying the maimers, who he's saying, he's saying the Rebbe is a maimer, a bissel derech cheretz for the Rebbe. That's in Yonim in Nigeya, they did a Shemayim, and what he also is in Yonim that he has to speak with other people. Then, in the third category, he is feeling for other people. So that's from a few different angles. But one of the last stories that he told me that to bring this out, that he got a call from somebody that also was diagnosed with Yiddish Machna, and he was calling Rabbi Benjamin for chizuk, and so he's like on the phone for a long time with him, being mechazik. Then he gets a call a week later from this same person. How the doctor said it's not accurate diagnosis. Baruch Hashem, he doesn't have Yiddish Machna. So Rabbi Benjamin was telling us that he was telling him how he mamash has to think the Eibishter and the Rebbe, like he doesn't understand what knows what it means and all the hardships that it comes along, how this person has to take the Eibishter. And when he was repeating the story, so he was mamash also thankful for the Eibishter that the other person didn't have all those hardships. His mamash, like his face was like shining, how excited he was that the other person didn't have the hardships that he was going through. Then on a more personal note, when I used to come every Shabbos, almost every Shabbos, so the first thing that I used to walk in, Mendel, what can I give you to eat? What do you drink? Whether I was full, not full, he always made sure I have to have either a drink, eat something, like I have to, and the first thing that he did. The second question is, new Mendel. He wanted to make sure that that he doesn't hold me up. I should be able to do the next thing they also have to do and shouldn't miss out on other things. He right away was thinking about coming to learn with him, but he still wanted to make sure that I could continue doing what I have to do. Then later, when it started Shidduchim and other times, he was very excited and like all his face was shining. Ready by the L'chaim, it was very hard for him, but we have a picture actually. He pushed himself. He came to the L'chaim. When he came, it was very special. Then the Shabbos the Ofruf, so I went with my brother Yassel for the Kiddush, and his mom was like very excited, and he was like pasha shouting brachas. He told us that he wanted to fly in, but he was during the chasna. He was texting my mother. He wanted the pictures of the first time seeing me there kapata. He was shouting brachas, voice noting brachas. He wanted to see videos. He was very excited. Then going back to earlier we said about Mesiras Nefesh for chinuch. So one story that he told, one key that he told us about chinuch, he said that every kid has the key that cups them, that pulls them in, whatever that gets them involved. You're not just dashing to them a whole day long. you're pulling them in. So that's the key, very important. You have to find them, that key that's going to pull them into that they should be involved. Just a few of these are taken at his own bitachon and his own iskashlos, which means something, and also for the geya to feel for another yid, and real Ahavas Yisrael. And the last Mishnah says, speak about a zava, that if she sees on the 11th day, and then she told then by night, that the 11th day and the 12th day is already the beginning of the days of Nida, and therefore it doesn't count. So Machlekes is, if already by night, which already starts the days of Nida, she toiveled too early, she didn't wait one clean day after the zivos. So according to Bisham and Yisrael, she is tamei, making the kedusha make the things tamei. And there's Machlekes, according to Bisham, she's hiding a carbon, and according to Yisrael, she's bottom from a carbon. But Tavel Bayim Shul Achra, the Shem Shul is based on Achra, also Bisham Ayim, every time a Mishkov Mishkov determined a carbon, so I'm going to gargadon. But if you table the next day, according to Bisham and Yisrael, they're both everybody agrees that she still makes everything tamei, makes her still tamei, but they're potter from a carbon because she did have that the day that she watched. Gets used to that, and she sees later on. It could be she gets to that she's going to see later. Used to that, and she sees later on. It could be she gets to that she's going to see later another day, and then bitame is going to go to Mafreya also. Everybody agrees that if it was during the 11 days, not the end, during the 11 days, and she tabled that night after the year, didn't wait, and then she had relations, so then that she's, and then that she make a good tummy, if they saw they're going to be having a carbon, tell the Yishal Akram, but if she tabled the next day, and then had relations, so then it's already not so cautious because if she touched any taris, or if the boil make it that she still is, that she was boil azava, and that the taris she touched was tummy, so that's why it's a suffix of their bigaya. The taris of the carbon. Kind of a favorite circuit book was up. I saw people from the Gemara Shemra. They come to Mansur. They got it from the
Would like to ask, I'm allowed to call him my sweet little nephew, Yitzhak Benjamin, to speak on behalf of the family in honor of his father.
Like this? Okay, for me being in this room brings back a lot of memories for me. I don't know if people know, but my father brought me every day for 8 years, and especially on Sundays when I didn't have any yeshiva, Torah. I remember siddur parties sitting in this very room. I remember Tavis book fairs, my father running around. They used to have like all these timings, I don't remember. I just remember my father going, and this timer right here is from a Becca stand and running over there, making sure the kids really felt it. My father wasn't just a teacher from 9 to 5. My father really taught all over the world. I was in Australia, and a buffer reminded me during Shiva about the story. It was Mishmar, and so I asked my father to speak. I know there was got to be 60, 70 people in this room. And my father walked into the room, and it was quiet. Even the director couldn't believe it. My father spoke, and he walked out, and everybody started talking again. My father, I remember my father one time we were in Mexico, and the shliach's son was, he does it online. So my father came and started learning with him, making sure he had the aleph, making sure that he understood how to read, making sure that it wasn't just, that the guy, he knows a little bit, making sure it was clear, every word, to me was really amazing. My father always was the simcha. During Shiva, I got a lot of people coming over to me and telling me that your father used to run buses. My father didn't like to get up early, so he would take the buses in the afternoon, and he would be smiling at the kids, and he would say good night, or in the morning, see them in the hallway, say good morning. And the boys were telling me how they remember this years and years later. Some of these boys are married with kids. I went last year, Thanksgiving. I was in Daytona Beach, and the shliach over there says, your father taught me. I've been all over the world by Shloshim saying, your father was my teacher. And I got to see that their kids that he's teaching now, their kids and the kids that they're teaching in the public schools, and the kids in their Hebrew schools and their kids in their schools, learning how to read. He wanted to show me, look what your father did. My father taught me that when I have kids, that when you have work and family are not two separate things. My father always had time to spend time with me and my sister. My mother, as everybody knows, is the face of the organization that K'nai Torah helps a lot of people. I heard a compliment from my father. Somebody was telling me that I had no idea your father existed. My father really was the force behind my mother, really allowing her to do all the weddings. People don't know this, but after a long day in yeshiva, he was there to pick me up, to make sure I got off the bus. He was there to make sure I did the homework. He was there to make sure that I was fully, capable. I did not go to Lubavitch as a kid, and my father made sure that I had a Chiddush education, to the point I was in Farbrengen. We brought in Rabbi from the shul, and I had a few other Lubavitchers. And he asked, I brought him for Yud Tes, he asked, who knows about Yud Tes? And I was the only person to raise my hand. Because he wanted to make sure I had a proper Chiddush education, even though we didn't go to Lubavitch. Rabbi. Many Lincoln before me was saying a story about my father. He was talking about the Shloshim and the test. My father came to the Rebbe from Australia the first time he was there. The Rebbe, my father said he can clearly remember the Rebbe sitting with Label Groner by the elevator, and he turned to him and said, what are they doing in the Hakel events in Ole Torah? So the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah talks about that there's 3 separate times that some person's judged. The first is by Rosh Hashanah, the second is by when somebody passes away, and the third is when Mashiach comes. Because we still do mitzvahs in Rosh Hashanah people, so what that accomplishes, because when Mashiach comes, they're going to see what their effects are, what the ripples of their effects are, what they did, and what their people that are coming, their kids, their grandkids, their talmidim, or the people they affect. I think the Rebbe was saying, he wasn't talking about touch and mem test when he said Hakel for Ravens and all that. I think he was talking about last year in Pei Gimel. I'll tell you why. My father wasn't 100% well. He wasn't able to come every single day to yeshiva. My father still came. He was in classes. When the elevator was broken, he would go down Pape's class, so now he would go upstairs. He He went to the Lav Teshiva to Fabring, but he was constantly, keeping up with the Hakel Fabring because it was Hakel last year. Also, I think that what the Rebbe was telling him is that he has to have unity, not just Hakel unity. So unity, that he should have shalom with everybody, with his peers, with his talmidim, with his parents, with everybody. As the representative of the family, I'd like to thank a few people I was told. I was told to thank Divi Bunker, Rabbi the Friedman family, the whole of the faculties, the students of Olatara, the Kranite Tzala, and to every single person in the community who not only had backed us for today, but they backed us the last 2.5 years, that were there, making sure with my mother, making sure with my sister, making sure with me, making sure my father was okay, making sure everybody was okay.
Not much to say after this. This was sweeter than sweet. And on every level, I'm sure, Shmuel had tremendous nachas listening to you, Yosef. Shmuel had a weakness for Kivrachel. He had a weakness for Bichas Kohenim as well. We'll get to that soon. But Kivrachel, he had a weakness for. He said the warmest place he felt whenever he went to Etzro, he learned in Etzro as well, was Kivrachel. So Kivrachel, we know, is there because this is in the pathway where the Yidden come and cry. And Rachel comes and cries on our behalf to bring the Geula that we should be zeicher, like this Pasha when Yosef gets together with his brothers, and as we read in the Haftarah, as we will read in the Haftarah, that there will be the unity of Yehuda and Yisrael, and Avdi, David, Melech, Aleim, La'elon, and we will be reunited with Shmuel once again. Shmuel's personality was very interesting. Like Yosef just mentioned, the guy didn't even know that he exists. We know the face of the organization. It's an organization. It's an organization. Why is it an organization? Because so many people are helped by it. But in truth, it's not an organization. It was a couple. Solange Yodvora and her husband Shmuel, they together founded this organization. Shmuel stayed in the background, meaning what? He gave up everything. He said, we have one goal, and that is to help Chosin Kala. And we will do everything for it. That means every Friday afternoon is about Chosin Kala. In a way, I can say this is how we got into the picture. Who wouldn't want to host a couple that give their lives for Chassan and Kalas Friday night at the dinner table? Shmuel, in his way, was constantly busy advising couples, young couples, Chosin Kala as they were getting ready to get married, and once they got married, guide them through how to establish a warm Jewish home. This is not the face of Simchas Chosim Vakala, and it's nobody's business. Was that what Shmuel was busy with? Shmuel also had the sports personality in him. He was into Australian cricket, English rugby. He followed the teams because this is how he can communicate with certain people and keep them close to his stripe. I know whenever I would visit him, on a regular basis lately, of course, every Friday afternoon, the first thing he would ask me, what's your word for the week? He wanted to know whatever I had, my weekly thing that I write. So he said, I got it, I sent it to all my people, but I never got a chance to read it. He was always busy, reaching out, being mashpia through JNet and other different programs. He was involved in each and every one of them. We mentioned before his niftzayim. He was in the hospital, like maybe 4 weeks before he passed away, Friday afternoon. He didn't have the strength to put on film himself, but he did put on film with his doctor. Whenever I visited him, I always walked away inspired, but it was like, I have to say, the last Friday that I visited him, last Friday that I was home, and I looked at him, and for the first time it hit me. Didn't look good. But when I listened to him, I couldn't tell. I walked away, I said, this man will beat it. It was so inspirational. He gave you such bitachon. You couldn't imagine that it would go any other way. As bad as it looked, it just wasn't. His disposition, it was incredible. He could not imagine anything other than, he told me straight, I'm looking forward to eating your wife's challahs again. Her potato salad. We know he was on a special diet for a while, so he couldn't enjoy the foods, but he just said it. I'm looking forward, like I mentioned before. He was planning his future. Such a person is a teacher. He was a pre-1A teacher. Yeah, he taught us the pre-1A of life. Basic, how to be a chosid, how to have a munah, how to have bitachon, and how to be a chosid. One of the people who played a major role in his life, as he was a teacher, and his colleagues were teachers. I mentioned before that when he didn't have strength to go up the stairs to his own class, one of his colleagues and a dear friend of the family, Shalom Yod, Moshe Tape, he will address the crowd, and he also has a message from Shmuel Benjamin's mother.
I find it very profound. I was put here between Yosef speaking and I'm going to share soon the message that Rabbi Benjamin's mother, Rosie Stark, wrote for the Shloshim event that she said in Sydney. and she asked that it should be read here as well. I went back to last year, my messages with Shmuel. I had to scroll back quite a bit. And I saw from Hey Tavis, I wrote to him, it was nice seeing Yosef today by Rabbi Karp's office. And he answered, yeah, he went to pick up Spartan for Hey Tavis. Just before that, he shared with me of art, as he always tried to send to his shver, and once he did that for his shver, he also did it for many other contacts, sending Vart on the Parsha, which always started a conversation, and we argued about which one of the two Vartlach are more Gishmak, but I'll say the one that he said was more Gishmak. This week's parsha speaks about how Yaakov ultimately comes down to Mitzrayim and meets Yosef for the first time. And it says that Yosef fell on his father's shoulders and cried. And Yaakov did not react. As surprising as it sounds, after so many years of missing his cherished son, Yosef, the pupil of his eye, etc., Yaakov did not react whatsoever. And the Chachamim say, his brother Rashi, he was saying Kriya Shema, and the halacha doesn't permit one to be mafsik in the middle of Kriya Shema, even for such a situation. It's brought in the name of the Heilige Yid from Pshischa. This is what he sent me. A simple question, a klotz kasha. What about Yosef? Did he not have to say Kriya Shema? And the answer is like this, very profound. By Yosef, he did not have a simple physical, gashmistic love, but his love to his father was part of a mitzvah of kibbud av. And the oisik mitzvah is part of a mitzvah. Yaakov didn't necessarily have a mitzvah towards his son of kibbud av. It was a separate thing. But it wasn't a mitzvah of kibbud av, and therefore he needed to give his love to the Eibishter at that moment and say Kriya Shema. The point of this message, obviously, is that the mitzvah of kibbud av, in this case, of Yosef HaTzadik, was more important than his love to the Eibishter. And this is what he sent me exactly 1 year ago. And today I was asked to give over his message from his mother. His mother's message. And those who know, he had a very special connection, and he had a tremendous kibbud towards his mother, those who sang Gezut, and Shem Shebencher, and the whole family, with the brachas and koyach to continue on. And we should all together greet Mashiach speedily. And I'll say what she wrote. On behalf of Jonathan, Adam, Devorah, Chaya, and Yosef, I would like to thank you for coming tonight. We are celebrating Shmuel's life, but we would not have been able to get this far without the love and support of our much-loved family, and also the love and support of so many wonderful people here in Sydney and also in New York. Please accept this as our personal thank you to you all. I especially would like to thank Cassie, David, Chani, and Benny for arranging the Shloshim event in Sydney. I have so many mixed emotions right now. Shmuel was born during Pesach. He was the first grandchild on my side and the third on his father's. He brought us all so much happiness and love. I remember my parents and sister walking from Newton Shul to the hospital at King's Cross to see him and then walking back home. Looking back now, it would have been at least 2.5 hours each way. Shmuel went on to be the big brother of Jonathan and Adam. He was very much loved by them. One of the special bonds was their love of cricket. It was always at the top of their discussions, especially when Australia was winning. Life went on, and Shmuel studied in various yeshivas and eventually settled in New York. I remember he had met a few girls, and they all had some faults. When he rang and said he had met Devita and she had no faults, I knew she was the one. The rest is history. They have blessed me with two beautiful grandchildren, Chaya, Moshki, and Yosef. Over the last 2.5 years, our lives were shattered, and our hearts were broken when Shmuel was diagnosed. He was always so positive, and fought so hard to beat it. Towards the end of his illness, he suddenly took a turn for the worst, and I prayed on that long journey to New York I would get there in time to see him. I got off the plane and went straight to the hospital. Luckily, I did get there in time. He did know I was coming, and I believe he held on for a few more days. I even whispered in his ear that Australia won the World Cricket. Even though it was the saddest time of my life, his Chabad community embraced us with so much love and warmth, which gave us great comfort. His Levaya was like for a rock star or the royal family. Shmuel was my rock star. The school where he taught, most of the students, teachers, and parents were on the street, and at 770, people were lined knee-deep. When we sat Shiva, there must have been at least 200 people per day. I have been so overwhelmed and thankful for the outpouring of love from all those wonderful people. After Shiva, we had a tour of his school. The love and respect they have for him is truly inspirational and emotional. We went to his classroom and met his colleagues and students. I feel very proud of his legacy. Even though I am going to miss his voice, phone calls, his texts, and all the physical things he did, I know he is in a better place. Rest in peace, my beautiful son. Shmuel always used to say to me, think good, it will be good. Tracht gut, wird sein gut. One Friday night, I mentioned this and immediately was given this blue band with that saying in Yiddish. I treasure it. I'm going to follow his motto. I also know he would want us one day to have joy again, and we will. I'm just going to end. I'm not going to say about our connection, and everybody here has a connection, and everybody has stories, everybody has, I'm sure, lessons they can learn. I'm just going to say one point, which is what I ended my class today with. While Shmuel wasn't well, many things were done in his chus. Throughout many classes and many people in their personal lives and around the world. And in my class, the boys felt that they knew they were davening for Shmuel Moshe HaKohen and for Rachel, and they were doing a lot to ask Hashem to send her for Shalema. And I said to the boys that now, after he passed away, what? Do we stop? Do we give up? Chas v'shalom. There's still more that has to be done. We have to continue fighting just as Shmuel would want us to. And that is that we have to work very hard to bring Mashiach, and so we should be zeicher to Tchias HaMeisim, take it from Yad Mamash.
Hari Yashkoyach for your own words and for the message, being the willing shliach to read that emotional message. The major part of Shmuel's life, as mentioned, was Olateda, starting from when he heard the word Olateda out of the Rebbe's holy mouth, and throughout his career. Olateda played a major role in his life and was there for him. And we really have to give them a big shout out for being there in support till the last day of the cover that he was given from Olateda. So we'd like to invite Rabbi Lustig, who hired Shmuel 28 years ago as a teacher in 318, and he was the dean of the yeshiva through the years of Shmuel's career in Olateda, Harav Lustig. Thank you.
Shloshim of Shmuel and Rabbi Chaim. A lot was already said and told, and I can just add a little bit. I worked together with Shmuel for 25 good years, and then some years were on and off. I've seen other Malandim and other teachers, many actually, for 25 years. But what's unusual is the same excitement, the same joy, the same feeling that he had when a Talmud learned or knew something or could say something or had a Shemayim, the same feel the way it was on day one of the 25 years, it was on the last day of the 25 years. It's very rare, there's no burnout, there's no getting tired. The shlichus and the feeling, the passion that he had for Kinderlechen. We talked about Holy Torah, and we ever told him to mention Holy Torah, but I don't know if it was even Holy Torah. It was the kids. The kids were so special to him that every time a kid knew something, could say something, could perform something, to him that was all the most that you could imagine. I just want to share with you a story that's brought down in Yerushalmi. I want to be brief. Yerushalmi says that Gun Berachia, he lived towards the end of the Amiloim, about 300 common era. He lived only 28 years, and he passed away. When he died, they said the following mashal. There was a king who hired workers for some project that he had. One of the workers worked only 2 hours a day. He got everything done quickly. And the king spent the rest of the hours of the day walking with him and talking with him and spending time with him. The other people worked all day long to get the job done. At the end, when the project was over, when the king paid their salary and rewarded them, they all got the same amount. This worker who worked 2 hours a day got the same amount as everybody else. They said it wasn't fair. He only worked 2 hours. The king explained. He accomplished in 2 hours more than all the other people accomplished all day long. Gun Berachia learned as much Torah and taught as much Torah in his 28 short years as other people it would take 100 years to do. That was what Shmuel mentioned. He only was zeichet to be a Malamed for 25, 28 years. But he did in these 25 years much more than many people do for 50 years or longer. When he transmitted to his Talmidim the love of Torah, the love of Chassidus, his kashus to the Rebbe, Yerushalayim. It's there, and it will be passed on to their children and to their children until Mashiach. I'm just going to mention this. This Yerushalmi is based on the pasuk in Koheles. It says, "Besukkah shnas ha'evei in Harvey." It's very sweet. The sleep, shnas, the sleep of the worker, whether he works a lot or works a little. And Rashi has two pirushim. One pirush is that it doesn't matter, how much he accomplished. If you did the work, you sleep well. But then Rashi has another pshat, that Mesukah Shnaso Eivet, somebody who's an Eivet Elikim, somebody who is serving Hashem his whole life, even his afterlife is sweet. He has no regrets. He's happy. He feels good. He looks down. It's Mesukah. It's sweet up there for him. But not only for him. There's him. There's his wife, Mrs. Devorah Benjamin, whose whole community is indebted to his daughter Chaya, his son Yosef. What about them? But it's sweet for him. He'll make it sweet for them. From up there, he's going to make sure that it's also sweet for them. And for us in the yeshiva as well. We're really going to miss you, Shmuel. There's nothing I can say, but it's Hashem. The fact that you were with us for so many years, your legacy is with us forever and ever.
Thank you, Rabbi Lustig. And amidst Hashem, that those sweet memories will be inspired. One of the people who continued, I can almost say continued, what Rabbi Lustig started and took over as Dean of Olateya is Rabbi Mendelblau, who for the last few years has been there, an initiator of all kinds of good deeds and good programs to help secure the better health and the refuah of Shmuel, and he's continuing to do things on his behalf and on his memory, and to continue the kavod that he truly deserves. As a kohen, we would also like to ask him to perform Shmuel's favorite Birchas Kohanim with brachas and words of greetings. Harav Mendel Blau.
Who himself is a Kohen, mentioned Rabbi Benjamin's love for Birchas Kohanim. The truth is, the Gemara, Rabbi Katzman will do it together. There we go. The Gemara says about Rabbi Shmuel, there's a certain argument that Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shmuel have about where does the Kohen who does the Birchas Kohanim, Shabbos, Yom Tov, according to the minhag, who benches the Kohen, who looks out for the Kohen? And Rabbi Akiva says it's from the pasuk of Avarchim Avarchecha, and Rabbi Shmuel says it's from the pasuk V'ani Avarchim. The Gemara concludes that Rabbi Shmuel, who was a Kohen, found a better source and a better source of blessing for the Kohen because one Kohen helps another Kohen. So with that said, Rabbi Katzman, Kahana Miksayet Kahana. Reach us all in every area that we need, and especially I reach out to the Benjamin family, Yosef, Mrs. Devora, Mushka family. May the Eibishter give you the strength and all the brachas, the toiv hanir v'anigla v'achtoi v'chesed yirdefuchem kol yemei chayich. So it was mentioned, I'll be brief, it's late in the night. It was mentioned earlier, and Rabbi Yosef says it was asked, I think, but I think there's no sheer to really express Hakaras HaToiv, that I think what Mrs. Levi Baumgarten and Rabbi Feli Karp, Tzalaini Gesunte Yorim, what they have done, together with Rabbi Shoshone, reaching out to Rabbi Benjamin, and everyone in this very special environment that Moshe Pape spoke earlier. It was a joint effort, it was a team effort, and it was a special effort to take care of our own. And we lived with Shmuel Moshe throughout every part of the journey, and he continues to live within us every day going forward. I'll mention when the 8th grade produced a booklet of memories about Rabbi Benjamin, and like Rabbi Katz mentioned earlier, it's unique when you have a mechanech that his students remember him so many years later, talk about him, and feel connected to him. So I got a message from a person who today is on Shlichus, and he reached out to me, and I got permission to share it. He reaches out to me and he starts like this. By the way, Sam, Rabbi Benjamin was an exceptional teacher. I forgot about the fact how much we enjoyed that year. He never missed the opportunity to stop me and say hello. 25 years later, when I became principal, I never had such a fan. He would stop by the office and give words of encouragement. Every time he would take his children past the office, he would stop to tell them that I was his talmid. He took pride in me. And the same for when I left, and I went on shlichus. He gave words of encouragement for shlichus. I don't generally write like this, but I really think it's fundamental for Rabbeim to know and pay attention to long-term relationships as well. The reality is that every time a former talmid sees you for the rest of his life, he's thinking of it. And it's an opportunity for the Rebbe to give a good word. L'chaim. There's a famous Hayim that talks about the Baal Shem Tov, that the Baal Shem Tov started off, and he was called a Bahelfer. He was a teacher's assistant, and he would help bring the children to Cheder. And it says, the Hayim says, that Halavai, from the Fidik Rebbe Sikhis, Halavai, we would kiss the Sefer Torah with the love that the Baal Shem Tov would kiss his students. Today, in today's times, it's not the minhag, and not the social accepted for a teacher to kiss his students. But the love that Rabbi Benjamin had for his students felt, and they felt it in every way. Even those that were his students, just by Helfer, just Rabbi Benjamin by dismissal. Standing in Rabbi Benjamin's presence was standing in the presence of a lovely embrace. Rabbi Benjamin was a teacher of the Primonei. there are certain circles where they look at childhood development that, okay, pre-1A is little children, little kids. Where does it get serious? Where does chinuch really happen? Close to the bar mitzvah, post the bar mitzvah. And this comes out in different shittas. It comes out some poskim hold that when it comes to kashrus, for little children you don't have to be as careful, but for adults should be more nizar. We know that Rebbe's shitta, the Rebbe would often talk about chinuch, and he would talk about it in comparison to the tree, ki ha'adam eitz hasada, that the strongest and most critical time that's going to impact the entire way the tree will behave and live throughout its life is what happens in the tree in its early years, when it's a seedling, when it's just beginning to form. The Rebbe saw the mission of Chinuch HaTaras HaKodesh as most critical for the Talmud that's in pre-1A, for the Talmud that's in preschool. And as the years progress, it remains critical, but less of a scale. Rabbi Benjamin, part of the reason why I think we felt him so strong, and we feel the passing so strong, is Rabbi Benjamin worked at the foundation. And when the foundation shakes, the whole building shakes. The whole building vibrates. We feel it. The Rebbe talks about the Torah as a place that permeates the Talmidim with Avas Hashem, Avas HaTorah, and Avas Yisrael. There was no greater mechanech that personified, and for real, in every one of his actions, Avas Hashem, Avas HaTorah, and Avas Yisrael. Whatever it was that Rabbi Benjamin was talking to you about, you felt this is a Yid that is Miyaker Torah, he is Miyaker Yer Shemayim, and above all, it was fused together with a really unique Avas Yisrael that everyone that came in contact with Rabbi Benjamin felt. One of the last teachings that Rabbi Benjamin was zeicha to share while he was with us was this year in Rabbi Pape's class. Rabbi Benjamin went into the Talmidim and he shared a letter of the Rebbe, a michtav klali that the Rebbe wrote, I believe, based on the recording that I heard, that it was the michtav klali that the Rebbe wrote, Chai El Tavshin Mem Tes. This year, Rosh Hashanah, the year started off with Shabbos. And when Rosh Hashanah, the first day, falls out on Shabbos, Sukkot is on Shabbos, Shmini Atzeres will be on Shabbos. And the Rebbe, in multiple letters for such years, spoke about the year as a Shabbos Tikayo, because Rosh Hashanah, as the head of the year, sets the tone for the entire year. What is Shabbos? So the Rebbe says, I'll quote one paragraph that Rabbi Benjamin shared with the Talmidim in Rabbi Pape's class this year with such love. Here's how the Rebbe describes the uniqueness of such a kfiyus and its message that it carries for all of us. Der Tag von Shabbos hatten sich zwei Gegensätze Nekudas. Shabbos is a paradox of two ideas. Shabbos is Kiddusha, like the Pasuk says, V'shmartem es HaShabbos, ki kodeshi, heed the Shabbos, because it's holy. Kiddusha expresses Hecherkeit. But Shabbos also is a day where we separate ourselves from Melacha, where we do not go to work. So the Rebbe explains over here, Azavi and Shabbos in sight, let me just read one paragraph. Und der Lieber, speziell begreitensvoll der Kopf von der kommende Jahr. This year, the Rebbe is talking about such a piece, to prepare for this year, to make it a Shabbos year. What's the idea of making it a Shabbos year? Shabbos is a time where the Rebbe says, just like Shabbos in the day, there's Shabbos amongst Yidden. Der Lieber bringt sich aus die Kedusha von Shabbos zum allem Ersten, in dem was Yid tut sich aus. A Yid separates himself from his weekday malachas. I'm sorry, I keep losing the place. So, when was Yid tut sich aus von Weltsachen, nicht an kein Welt, wachtige Arbeit, leisasach malacha, und nicht haben zu tun mit the Chol, with the weekday things, but more than that a Yid dedicates himself on Shabbos to live higher, to learn more Torah, to add in tefillah b'kavana and a zachana to tefillah. And then the Rebbe concludes the letter with the following point. Just like you have Shabbos in the time of the calendar, you have Shabbos amongst Yidden. Sufficient Yidden Gufa, amongst Yidden itself, Talmidei Chachamim are called Shabbos. Why? Why are Talmidei Chachamim referred to as Shabbos? Because they're Hoyt Asik from Talmidei Chachamim. The main job of a Talmid Chacham is Talmud Torah. Bizan Oifen from Teirasai Umnasai. His job is Limud Torah. His job is teaching Torah. Und der Ribber seinen wie Tevlechen, der Radegel von Shabbos, therefore the Talmid Chacham lives, even on the weekday, as a Shabbos Tigayid. Rabbi Benjamin, many of you who knew him in person, knows that Rabbi Benjamin dressed Shabbos every day of the year. He wore kapata, he wore Bigdei Shabbos. Rabbi Benjamin lived, not just wore it on the outside, he lived Shabbos Day. Even when he had to do with weekday things, we all eat, we all sleep on Shabbos, but it's Shabbos. Rabbi Benjamin, when he would be in 770 by Slichus, and he would come around with the bucket to collect for Simchas Chasam Ekala, you saw, to Rabbi Benjamin, he was from Mizaki Yidin Tzedakah. He was working himself before Slichus to help a Chasam and Kala. The actual money, I don't know how to describe it, but anyone that came in contact with Rabbi Benjamin, you know, it just really made no difference. It made no difference to him what you dropped in that bucket. What he cared for most was that encounter. The Simchas Chasam Ekala. He was a Shabbos Yid. It's no coincidence that a Yid who was a Shabbos Yid, who lived Shabbos, and I understand by his Shabbos table, would always learn Hilchah Shabbos. Is that correct? Yosef? He would carve in Hilchah Shabbos. It is no coincidence that a Yid that lived Shabbos, dressed Shabbos an entire year, passed away and returned his pure neshama to the Eibishter on Shabbos Kodesh, on a year that Rosh Hashanah started in Shabbos, as he spoke about with his Talmidim in one of his last shiurim. I think it's therefore most befitting that for Rabbi Benjamin's memory, we're going to work together with Rabbi Benjamin, with Rabbi Pei, Moshe Tzvaya Yoram, together with a team of other mechanechim to bring and strengthen Shabbos by the Talmidim through different projects, through different crafts, through different shiurim in an age-appropriate manner. We're still working out the details, but Be'ez Hashem, this will be our achlata b'achayit and alibay to carry Rabbi Benjamin's Shabbos spirit through the entire year.
Shkoyach, Rabbi Blau, first of all for this last initiative, on behalf of the public, on behalf of the school, but also for setting us straight. After being here for the last hour and a half, I could have walked away thinking that Shmuel was the biggest Rosh Hashiva around. Rabbi Blau saved us from this misappropriation. He reminded us that Shmuel was a chassid and he was the personification of what the Baal Shem Tov wanted, a Ba'elfer, a pre-1A teacher who took care of the little children with love. I don't know what Rosh Hashiva can claim that. One of the people that worked with Rabbi Benjamin for many years as the principal of the younger division of Olateya, which included the Pre-1A, was Rabbi Meir Shimshoni, who was also a Mike from down under, who knew Shmuel from way back when, and he's going to share hopefully some memories from there and from now to inspire us with some of the stark secrets that you didn't know about Shmuel. Rabbi Meir Shloshim.
So how do you talk about someone you have known for over 40 years? A friend you went to yeshiva with, a Rabbi who worked for you for over 25 years. When I walk the hallway now, on the 5th floor, and I don't see Rabbi Shmuel Benjamin in the class with his kinderlach, we all feel a deep void. The Mondays and Thursdays that Rabbi Benjamin would take out his special velvet Sefer Torah and have each of his kinderlach come up and kiss the Sefer Torah. The different children who sometimes had difficulty in a class and had to come up with a quick solution. And I would march the child up to Rabbi Benjamin. And Rabbi Benjamin gave me a look. He knew exactly why I was there. He knew exactly what my plan was. And he said, Rabbi Shloshim, I'll take him. Rabbi Benjamin was not just a par excellence teacher who loved every one of his Talmidim as his own and instilled in them Hasidic attributes which will be with them forever. On a Hasidic Yom Tov, I would see Rabbi Benjamin running up Kingston Avenue, and he would say, Rabbi Shloshim, I'm going to be there soon. I have to stop in Cannes on the way. I have to pick up some cookies and grape juice to make today a memorable day for the kinderlach. The time and patience given to each and every child to make sure their career was up to par. I remember coming into his class by recess. He was sitting by his desk, verhearing each and every child. And guess what I found today? I walked into Rabbi Rosenberg's class and I found his career record sheets from 1998 on the desk. To the Titus Esther, when he would walk out of the elevator, he would walk out with his basket, with his special basket he was collecting for Simchas Chassan V'Kala. He walked up the hallway with pride and joy. It was never about him. It was always about others. One time he came back from a summer in Australia and he told me, Rabbi Shloshim, you're not going to believe it. I said, what? He said, I treated myself to a new coat. My other one was ripped. I said, wow, I'm so excited. Beautiful. Take care of yourself. Even throughout his sickness, he wanted to be in yeshiva. One time he told me that he always wanted to have a sabbatical. Now, he never ever wants to entertain that thought again. He loved keeping in touch because his life became appointments, hospital, and bed. Any opportunity I had, I would call him and he would always answer my calls. I would call him by the rallies. I called him from the challah bake that we had recently. I called him from Mincha at the Rebbe's house. Each time I called, he smiled and he would be beaming from each part of his face. He was even present this past Rosh Chodesh Kislev. I called him at Rosh Chodesh Kislev Seudah, and he was clapping and he was going like this. He was chayesdik. Even when he wasn't here in person, he was very much here. One time he called me. I was preparing a Rabbi Cape's class. I don't normally answer the phone, but when I saw it was him, I made an exception, and I picked up my phone. I asked him, Rabbi Benjamin, are you okay? He said, yes, I'm returning the call, because you called me previously, and I felt bad that I didn't answer the call. I asked him if he would like to join my faher. He said yes. I put him on live, and he was there by the faher for an entire hour, smiling away. When he made his Chanukah Sabayis, he was so happy that night to finally sit again with his friends, with all the Rabbeim that he hadn't done in such a long time. The next day he wrote to me, I wanted to do this face to face. I can't even begin to tell you what a chizuk it was to sit with my friends again. Quote, my Yosef said, I haven't seen this look on your face, Tati, for a very long time. It was so uplifting. He said, I feel my house is gebenched. I want so much to be back in yeshiva, but I have appointments every day. Thank you again for warming and uplifting me. Hashanah Rabbah night was my birthday this past year, and I wanted to do something special. So I was trying to find out where can I get lekach. I made a few phone calls, and lo and behold, someone told me they had some lekach in the freezer. I raced over to the house, I picked up the lekach, and then I called Rabbi Benjamin from Kingston Avenue. I said, Rabbi Benjamin, I want to come over. He said, I know, Rabbi Shloshim, I'm not sure, my house is not tidy enough. I said, Rabbi Benjamin, I'm not coming to check out the house. I want to come and farbrengen with you. He said, come. I then called a colleague of mine, Rabbi Barnett. I said, Rabbi Barnett, I don't know where you're up to, but I'm going to Rabbi Benjamin now. You coming? 5 minutes later, Rabbi Barnett is on Carroll and Kingston, ready to go. We showed up at Rabbi Benjamin's house. He was so happy and excited. He came in the sukkah, and we sat, and we farbrengt, and he gave me the most incredible bracha. The next day again, he wrote to me. He said, I got a big chizuk to sit with people again. And he said to me, if you see any of my old Talmidim over Yom Tov, please give them my best regards. Then came that night, a few days before his holy neshama was taken away. I still remember that night. It was a Wednesday night. It was 8:30 at night, and I felt I needed to go to see him in the hospital. I called another Rebbe to get directions. The Rebbe told me, they're never going to let you in. Don't even try. They don't let people in after 9. I got in an Uber. I called Rabbi Rosenberg from the Uber. I said, Rabbi Rosenberg, I'm going to the hospital. Are you coming? He said, yes, pick me up. We got there. I think it was 9:05. I went over to the first security guard. He said, sorry, you ain't going in. It's after 9 o'clock. Try again tomorrow. Then I went to the second security guard. He said, I'm sorry, sir. It's after 9. Visiting hours are over. I had such a determination. I needed to see him. I went over to the third guy. I said, look, I know the rules. I know that you don't let people in after 9, but I am his friend. I am his Rebbe. I am his principal. And if you want to walk out of this hospital tonight and feel guilty that you stopped me from saying some prayers by his bed, then do it by all means. But that guilt's going to be with you for life. The next thing I know, he said, go upstairs. And I did, and I went up with Rabbi Rosenberg, and we sat, and we spoke, and he was still conscious then. And I remember vividly, Rabbi Rosenberg starts talking to him about the progress in the class. Rabbi Rosenberg was saying, this boy's reading like this boy needs some extra work, this boy's doing this in the Kudus. Then we sang the Gudim together, and then I knew Rabbi Benjamin loved the Yud Beis talking every opportunity he had. Okay, I even remember once going to the Intrepid. We went to the Intrepid. Rabbi Benjamin said, people walked around and they would tell me, you have a prize teacher over here. He takes a trip. He takes the most boring trip and he makes it so exciting. We said the Torah Psukim, then we left. I really feel I need to make mention tonight of Rabbi Rosenberg, who it's very, very hard to fill the shoes of Rabbi Benjamin. It was extremely, extremely difficult. And Rabbi Rosenberg did it in such a careful way. And Rabbi Benjamin said to me these words. He said, you think it's easy for me? I've been a teacher for 25 years. And now I'm in the back of the class. I'm like a power, I'm like an assistant. But he said, Rabbi Rosenberg includes me. Rabbi Rosenberg lets me teach the class sometimes. Rabbi Rosenberg makes me feel like a person. Rabbi Rosenberg asks for my advice. He calls me at night and he asks me, Rabbi Benjamin, I'm having a problem in the class. What should I do? How can you help me? Besides the fact that Rabbi Rosenberg had, for 2.5 years, he left the class exactly how Rabbi Benjamin had left it. Every single thing, the closet, he never touched his closet, he never touched his filing cabinet, nothing. Rabbi Rosenberg managed with a tiny little area, and he would say, this is enough for me, I'm okay. The other people who I would like to thank tonight are the 375 Talmidim who are entrusted to me, who along the journey did not stop with the Tillin, did not stop with the rallies, did not stop with the Tanya Balpeh. Everybody, they all knew we need to do it. We need to work and we need to do it. And they kept hearing from me, Shmuel Moshe HaKohen, Shmuel Moshe HaKohen, Shmuel Moshe HaKohen. But they did it and they did it and they never ever stopped. Something that I actually had done yesterday for the very first time, because I was thinking, where are we going from here? We're hearing drushes tonight, we're hearing eulogies, but what are we going to do? So I know Rabbi Blau actually mentioned something. I had already had an idea, but again, the more we do, the better. Rabbi Benjamin was very, very dear to him, kinnusim. He would always, any opportunity he had, he wanted to make a kinnus. He was always telling me about Rabbi Shloshim, we're making kinnus. Rabbi Shmuel, you tell your kinnus in the morning, today when you come home, we are going to be all the family together, and we're going to have a kinnus Shmuel. Oh, it means you're going to have...
Thank you, Rabbi Shloshim. As we relate to the vast Rabbi Benjamin could not be the teacher of the entire Pri 1A. He had co-teachers for Pri 1A, and one of them was a neighbor and friend, Rabbi Yossi Goldstein, with whom he would also consult on his compositions and nigunim. Hopefully one of Shmuel's favorites.
Spirit of Birchas Kohanim, I'd like to sing, especially in the Simcha Begin from Hashem. Please join me along. By the way, Shmuel like many Nigodim, so it's hard to choose a particular song, but this one I'm sure you'll appreciate. Yimcho Eloki Kifrayim V'chim Menashem Kifrayim V'chim Menashem Yevarechecho Hashem v'yirechecho Yamein Hashem pano elecha v'yichunecho Yiso oy Hashem v'pano elecho Yo very interesting thing that happened a week before Shmuel left us. I had seen Shmuel a few weeks, about a month or so before it passed. And I was going back and forth a few days. Should I go? Should I not? So I wrote a letter to the Akers, and I got a very clear answer. Not well. So he encouraged me. I spent time with him, and his neshama should come back with us to Kodesh Mamish. We should meet everybody, all the relatives of Mashiach Tzidkenu, and Heli Amenu, and the Rebbe, we see them together with us.
V'yosem l'chol sholem. We'd like to remind everyone there is an email to where you can write and share your memories. The family would very much appreciate. Please send your memories to blessed by Rabbi B. The word blessed by Rabbi B @gmail.com. Please share your memories and send it to this email. Amongst the many, many close friends with the Benjamin family is also the Zirkin family, with whom the Benjamins are very close. And we would like to ask Rabbi Sholem Zirkin, a personal friend, a mashpia in this neighborhood, who lectures especially on Inyonim Gulu Moshiach, to inspire us with Inyonim of Gulu Moshiach, which I know Shmuel would very much like to hear.
I know that Shmuel would appreciate, I don't know how much he would like, I don't know how to call it, these type of events, but we definitely would appreciate the facility of Rabbi. So I'll try to keep my words in the realm of the Hasidic of Rabbi. I'm not going to be very long, I just want to say a few things. I myself had the opportunity to sit in Rabbi Benjamin's classroom
before he started in P1A, he used to substitute in Ocean Park and Bob Yeshiva. So I remember him yet from then, the first time he substituted. And there's many things that we could learn. Before we mentioned Rabbi Benjamin's great Chavivos in Birchas Kohanim, the Chavivos he had to mention on the Yid. Just to mention a story that Rabbi Benjamin mentioned a number of times. He had the schus of doing Birchas Kohanim in 770, on Rosh Hashanah, and the Rebbe would go down, and the Kohanim would stand on the bima, and they blow shofar during Kaddish after was changing colors as they were blowing shofar. It was getting red and white and red. And just one personal thing I want. This is a lesson that I learned, a very simple lesson, a very important lesson regarding on Halacha, on Shmuel Moshe, because I was Zubin and myself, and Yosef, and a few other guys. There was certain when we said was in Chastera, and there was one here, I remember exactly when it was, Nishigay, was a little excited about that you should speak positively. Particularly there's young people around, although I think Yosef is able to handle a little bit of a certain outburst. But it was a lesson that he taught me that B'chlal, particularly when you're dealing with people that are learning from you, it's always important to be positive. It could mean many things. I had the schus to learn whatever was possible. He would learn. He was very into learning the project of the Sichos, the two Sichos that are divided throughout the year. And this apropos, the Sichos speaks about Asar B'Tevis, which is God's plan. Chas V'Shalom, Mashiach doesn't come and take place this Friday. It speaks about when Mashiach will come, be transformed to the day of Sosim and Simcha, the day of joy. And it's a famous Sikha, I'm not going to go through the Sikha, but one part that Rebbe says, that Rambam brings there the pasuk that says that in the future, the days of fast will be transformed to joy. The Rambam says, but we quote standing the pasuk, "Va'emes v'ashalom ahavu." We should love emes and shalom, truth and peace. And the Rebbe asks, why does the Rambam bring it? And the simple meaning of the pasuk is that if you keep to loving peace and truth, you will merit that Mashiach will come and the fast will be transformed to joy. But what is irrelevant to the Rambam? The Rebbe says there basically that the pasuk is speaking about Yidden that were in the second Beis HaMikdash. Most of the Jews, the 10 tribes, were exiled. Aseres HaShotim didn't experience the rebuilding of the second Beis HaMikdash. They were exiled before the Churban Bayis Rishon. And their tribulations, their struggles were very different. They didn't have the same struggles and the same persecution that the people of the second Beis HaMikdash, the people that remained, that were the two Shvatim, Yehuda and Binyamin experienced. The Mashiach will come and that fast will be transformed to joy. So the Jews that suffered Tisha B'Av, they suffered on Shivas of the Talmud, we could understand how it will turn into a day of joy. But what about the Aseres HaShvatim? They didn't have a Shivas of the Talmud. They didn't have a Tisha B'Av. So why will it be a day of joy for them? The Rambam reads the end of the pasuk, "Emes v'ashalom ahavu," which is when there's Abbas Yisrael, so the joy that one Jew has becomes the joy of Klal Yisrael. The fact that these two Shvatim, Yehuda and Binyamin, which are the Klal Yisrael, are hidden from us, because they experienced trouble on these days, and this was transformed to joy. This will affect the whole Klal Yisrael, that they will experience the same simcha. I don't think there's anything more that there's Abbas Yisrael, particularly as a Shtafkus and the Keren Simchas Chasam V'Kala. When a Jew needs something, it shouldn't just be he needs it, we should feel that we need it, we should try to help him. We should accept another Yid, we should really care and experience and help another Yid. And the Eibusha should help the same way he was involved in many good things in this world, and particularly Simchas Chasam, and that he should be poil l'mayla, that there should be the ultimate Simchas Chasam V'Kala, the Eibusha and Yid the coming of Mashiach now.
Thank you, Rabbi Zertin, and the Eibusha should take your help. We should all rejoice at that big big chasana. Last but not least, we'd like to invite Rabbi Michal Shriki, another mite from down under. He's a rabbi in the Sephardic synagogue in Sydney. Hopefully, he will tell us something that we still don't know about Shmuel. Rabbi Shriki.
Rabbi, Mr. Benjamin Sr., Mrs. Benjamin Sr., Jonathan and Adam, his brothers, Dvorah, Chaya, and Yosef, and all in respect of someone I call Shmuel, and we'll soon know why. Of the unbelievable impact that he has made on Talmidim and Talmidim in the community here in New York. And I am imbued with an unbelievable pride for two reasons. One because of Shmuel, and one for a selfish reason. One because of Shmuel, because unbelievable pride for what he has achieved. But a selfish reason, I knew Shmuel many years ago, not only in Australia, but when he learned in Eretz Yisrael in Torah, and used to hang around Kalin's Stolen. And he wanted to be a Stolen, a Kalina. That's why I called him Shmuel. And I convinced him to come to the Lubavitch. And therefore I stand here today with a selfish pride, because the Chanina says, Rabbi, ma ani lo'elam haba. Rabbi, what's going to be with me in the world to come? Will I merit to have a portion in the world to come? And the Rabbi answers and he says, Klum masa, baliyotcha. Did you do something? A deed, an action, something different, something extraordinary. And I asked myself, why does he say Klum masa, one deed? One action. Chanina lived for many years and he did many actions and he learned a lot of Torah. Why did he say Klum ma'aseh? Because sometimes you do one thing and that one thing earns you a place in the world to come. If I did anything in my life but bring Shmuel to the Lubavitch, and then he has the impact that he has made on so many Talmidim, then I can answer that Ma'aseh B'Oliyodai. It was indeed an action that I did, and that's my ticket, the Olam Haba. I want to share with you a thought that very few people can appreciate. Baruch Hashem. The Torah says, Vayavek, Vayivosed, Yaakov levado, Vayavik Yishimon. Yaakov had a battle. Vayavik Yishimon. There was an Ish that struggled and challenged him in the middle of the night, in the most darkest moment of his life. Why was Yaakov alone? Many reasons why, but I'd like to share with you a finish. Who is this Ish? Ish, the Holy Arizal says, Ish is Eish. Eish is that part that seeks to consume us, to turn everything that we build into dust and ashes. And the Yud is the Pintali Yid, that part of us that remains true and special and unique. Vayavik Ish Imoy, every single one of us has a battle. Battle of humanity, a battle of our Ish that struggle with. And who is this Ish? Sometimes it's the doctor that gives you a negative prognosis.
Sometimes it's a little dark spot or a light spot on the MRI. Sometimes this ish that you struggle with is in a hospital bed. Why was Yaakov Avinu levado? Why was he alone? Because I want to tell you that you can have many kids, you can have many grandkids, but in the wee hours of the night, when you're all alone, when a person is going through difficulties with sickness, there is no more lonely a person than that person. Because nobody can really understand you. Only you, and it's you and the Eibishter. It's you and your ish, your private battle that seeks to consume you. And we hear a lot about Trachtgut and Zaingut, and it's a battle. How to be true to this concept of Trachtgut and Zaingut. Think good and it'll be good. When you're alone at home, these negative thoughts enter your mind whether you like it or not, of fear, of what's going to be with the family, what's going to be with the kids, what's going to be with the wife. This is the battle, one of the most difficult battles that any human being can ever have. And I say these words because I know that Shmuel overcame this struggle. And when he asked him, Shmuel, how are you? You see that your eyebrows lifting up. Sure. And I know that he meant it. But I mean it. Because I don't know what's really, truly in a person's heart. But to be able to have the strength of character to continually, and even to have the strength to even fake it, is one of the most difficult things that a person can ever do. And that's our Shmuel. Was able to continue to be positive, or at least show others that he's positive, and not break, and to defeat his demons. And Yaakov Avinu, after this battle, he was limping. And I asked myself, why did he limp? Because we all unfortunately run through life. We run so fast through life that we fail to notice the people who are so important to us, the things that are simple things in life that are so important. And that's why Yaakov Avinu was limping. Slowed him down a bit. He was able to appreciate his family, his wife, his children. And I know how proud, and he told me this, how proud he was of his children. I want to tell you, Dvorah, Chaya and Yosef. There was one time a king, a beloved king to his nation. And he lived in a palace that was on a hill. But alas, this palace was separated and divided by his beloved nation. And his nation, out of love, wanted to build a bridge. And the king commissioned this bridge. And every day he would come out from his palace, on the porch of the palace, and he would look at his beloved people. And one time, as he was looking at his beloved people, his nation, his royal crown fell, and all of the stones shattered and fell all over the place. And there were those people who were courageous, who went, climbed the stones, the crevices, collected all of these precious stones to retrieve them and return them to the king. But some of the most precious stones fell deep, deep into the sea. And very few were brave enough to be able to go to the depth, to the darkest, deepest points of the sea to retrieve those stones. The Holy Arizal tells us that we came down to this world to retrieve beautiful stones for the crown of our King of all kings. There the Rabbi Chitzotzes, these are the 288 divine sparks that fell. And some fell in plain sight, and some fell in crevices, but some fell to the darkest and deepest places. And the darkest and deepest places that I know of is where there is sickness, where there are challenges, where there are statements, where there are doubts, what's going to be. And Shmuel, and there are only special souls that are chosen to go to these deepest corners of the world and to retrieve these betzotzes, and to retrieve these holy stones of God's crown, to be able to have the courage and the strength to lighten up the darkest places in the world. And I know it's no comfort to you, but Shmuel was one of those chosen Neshamas that was able to go to the darkest places. And to illuminate these dark places. And to bring up precious stones and precious diamonds. And I know this doesn't bring Shmuel back to you, but you can understand what a soul he had for the short time that he lived in this world. He lived right with the Zangut, and with a smile on his face. He always had a good word to say. To me, Shmuel was a Bashemski, and it's no accident that he taught children, because he had this purity about him. He had the sincerity of a child that I don't have. And that's why whenever his friends visited him, we always asked him for Birchas Kehani, because we knew his brachas were sincere, came from the depths of his heart. I just want to conclude with one thing. Because Yaakov Avinu, the goddess Lebanov, is Ketzayom. Shimon Lakish says, Yaakov Avinu wanted to reveal to his children when will this bitter exile end. And all of a sudden, that thought was removed from him. And instead of revealing to them the end of days, he starts to bless them. But the blessing is a very interesting blessing, because the blessing was couched together with a characteristic, a description of the characteristics of his children. And I asked myself why. And perhaps the answer is this: because it's not as important to know when this bitter galus will end. It's more important to know that we are able to end it. Yaakov Avinu taught his children that they have the power, they have the strength, they have the tunas and efforts, they have the qualities to be able to bring about an end to galus. So it's not when the galus will end, it's how the galus will end, and it will end by us knowing the power that every single one of us holds. And this was the unique and special quality of Shmuel. He was able to bring out the good quality of every single Talmud, of every single child. And he was able to tell them, to reveal them their koyches, their strength. He couldn't tell them when the end of galus will be, but he can tell them how to bring about the end of galus. By being who you are. And he appreciated, and Yosef appreciated who you were, for your qualities. And that is how he treated, the way he treated his children, the way he treated his Talmidim. Teaching them who you are is special. You don't have to be the brightest, the smartest, the most talented. You just have to be you. Be the best you. Be the most truest and sincere you. And you will bring about the end of God's. And Bez Hashem, we should be zeicher to see our friend Shmuel very, very soon.
Amen. Thank you very much. Just a few closing words. We walk away from here, a few pointers to summarize Shmuel's life and the V'achai Yitem Eliber. Shmuel, we heard very clearly, was about Shem's Keid. He was fully occupied with the occupation of the Baal Shem Tov, teaching little children and loving little children. Shmuel, this I know firsthand, together to Langiyo with Dvorah, spared no effort and no money to get the best chinuch for the children he so loved. Shmuel, they mentioned before, he was Shabbosnik. He was dressed Shabbosnik. If I remember correctly, it was part of his belief and his full belief that every day Moshiach is coming, and he didn't want to get caught in his weekday clothes when Moshiach shows up. Shmuel was completely devoted to Cheres Simchas Chosn L'Kala, of course together with Dvorah, who's the face. But together they ran this organization. They gave away everything. Their home, their family, their life, their everything. No, they didn't sacrifice their family, but they gave their family. And this is ingrained, this is part of their family, was Cheres Simchas Chosn L'Kala. And the Hashgacha Pratis, it couldn't get any more than that. Motzei Shabbos, getting up from Shiva, was the fundraiser for Simchas Chosn L'Kala. Shmuel is asking us, we are there for you. He gave his life. The Gemara tells us, everybody was quoting the Gemara, so I'm quoting the Gemara too. The Gemara tells us about Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, that when he was on his deathbed, his Talmidim came and they found him crying. They asked him, why are you crying? And he said, I don't know where I will be going. In other words, he didn't know, is he going to Gan Eden or not? And they looked at Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, you have a problem? Classic question that is discussed. Chassidus discusses it in depth. How could it be Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, hand me Torah Sheba'al Peh, the whole Torah Sheba'al Peh went through him, all the Talmidim, the great Tanoim, they wrote the Mishnah and the Gemara, and this all comes from him, and he doesn't know where he was going. Chassidus explains all kinds of very, very deep explanations. But the Rebbe once spoke about this and gave a rather simple explanation. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was busy teaching. His whole life was about to be minded Talmidim, to create students, to teach Torah, teach and teach and teach. He never had a moment to think about himself. When it came the last moments, there was no time. He could never even make a cheshbon nefesh. But when it came the last moments, when he was on his deathbed, he realized he can't delay making a cheshbon nefesh. And then it was hard for him to make the right cheshbon. And Chassidus explains exactly why it was possible that he should think otherwise. But the point was he didn't have time, and that's why it was only before he passed away that he thought about himself. I have to take Shmuel to a higher level. At the end of the day, he was able to be a chosed. He was able to be one who went in the ways of the Baal Shem Tov, a Talmud. Time to think about himself even in the last minutes. He was planning how will he continue teaching. Continues teaching till today. And his message is, be there for Dvorah, for Chaya, for Yosef, and for Simchas Chosn B'Kala. Be there. Show that we know and we recognize and appreciate who Shmuel was. And the Elisha should help that the Shabbos V'Kippur Godim should be used to welcome Mashiach now.
Is that what